Dude, the Deepwater Guard is like good regardless, like in their own in regard. I think they're actually a really strong faction given the limitations that they have, but I think the other factions are just blown up in difficulty because the developers have for some reason decided that every other faction besides the Deepwater Guard, like their fleets all get missiles and lasers and shields and particle cannons regardless of their style or theme or timeline or whatnot. They're all like these super powerful, stupid, ridiculous, overpowered, etc. Yada yada yada. Bip bop boop. Look at me! Look how cool I am! Look at this super dreadnought, battleship, hovercraft, mega cannon that will blow up your ship in 2 seconds. Wow! Now you're dead. Wow! Look at you! Look how strong this faction is because of the laser. Like, no, like, your faction's not strong for having, like, a very strong ship. Your faction is strong for having a strong ship given the limitations it has. If you tell a shipbuilder, okay, go make a bunch of ships for this faction, whatever, I don't care, they can go make whatever the heck they want. If you tell a shipbuilder, hey, go make a bunch of ships for this faction, but you're not allowed to use boat propellers, let's say. Like, that's the one restriction. You can make anything you want, but boat propellers are off limits to you. Whatever they make, especially if it's something that works in the water, is going to be impressive because of the limitations they have set. It would be more impressive to me to have someone build a boat without water propellers than to have somebody just build a boat, because there were limitations put in. And I think that's important with the factions. I think it's important with the theme, in that there's no point in having a faction theme. There's no point in having different factions even if all the ships are going to be designed the same way. And by the same way, I mean they're all going to have shields. They're all going to have the same guns on them. They're all going to have lasers. They're all going to have, this, that, and the other thing. It makes gameplay monotonous. It's the reason people get bored of the game. It's the reason the difficulty curve is so high. Because once you beat the Deepwater Guard, it just goes into this insane shitfest, right? I mean, I would love to hear the opinion of a player who has had a different experience in playing from the depths than just beating the Deepwater Guard and then experiencing complete and utter boredom because it's just, at that point, an utter shitfest. I'm honestly, like, curious. Has anyone ever had, like, a not boring experience with the other factions? Because I remember fighting the Onyx Watch. I remember a long time ago, my first time playing the campaign, fighting the Onyx Watch, going in with my big battle cruisers and these battleships I had made that I had to make to adapt to the Deepwater Guard. And I remember going into the Onyx Watch and going, okay, the first fleet that I fought had lambs. The glaive had lambs on it that shot down, because I was using crams at the time, shot down half of my shells, and I was really fucking annoyed. I'm like, these guys have castles and sails on their ships. Why do they have fucking lasers? I go and fight the Bulwark, and thankfully at the time the Bulwark didn't have shields on it, but it's like, I'm fighting the Bulwark and I'm realizing, okay, the Bulwark is supposed to be like the big theme of this faction. It's supposed to be tons of armor, tons of guns. And it did a good job of that. The problem I have with the Onyx Watch these days is they totally have no idea, or they don't have any recollection of that central theme of, like, big guns, lots of armor. It's like, the Bulwark has shields now. They're trying to artificially inflate the difficulty by adding shields. Like, if it's not godly anymore because of changes in the meta, adding shields isn't gonna make it, like, godly anymore, because you're shifting the standards at which you're building something. If you shift the standards, it's no longer difficult for that faction. You're making it a different faction entirely. I liked when people complained about, oh, the shields are a problem in the meta because you go to the White Flayers and the White Flayers just spam Sabo. In those days when Sabo can penetrate shields, the only real solution to them would be to make a submarine or fly very far away. And now, since every like they change shields to a point where they're like not even considered like a big thing, especially after the resource change where they removed the 5 separate resources and made it one resource thing. Shields and energy weapons just became this thing that every faction has, and I think since then it's ruined the like strategic feel of the game, as well as ruining any fun anyone's ever had with it being a strategy game, which has made it just a building game. Everyone just builds because there's no fun in the actual gameplay, and people do tournaments against other players because the actual NPC craft aren't fun. There's no actual gameplay to this game because of the changes we've been talking about, because of the lack of variety in the factions. And the Deepwater Guard, the reason the Deepwater Guard's the only faction people ever play against on YouTube series, on like Robaz and the other YouTubers that have done this, you know, even me, I've only really ever fought the Deepwater Guard before getting bored. It's because the Deepwater Guard's the only faction that, although it's easy, it follows the fucking basic patterning of Deepwater Guard. You have a shitty vehicle that you probably use as propellers, that's made of wood, that has maybe 1 or 2 bits of metal on it, that uses a really tiny cram cannon or a really tiny APS. It's really like cute and small looking. Sometimes they're made to form like an animal shape. Sometimes they're inspired by real life ships. They look cool. They're in styles. They're steamships. They're sail ships. They're functionally like Deepwater Guard. You're in the world of the Deepwater Guard. You're in Meter. As soon as you go to Onyx Watch, as soon as you go to White Flares, as soon as you go to Lightning Hoods, it's like it just breaks down the entire formula. It's like Lightning Hoods is no longer like these tech priests that build these cool submarines. I just see them as the godly suicide into mountains, and none of the other vehicles even fucking work. The whole faction's just Bork. Like, White Flares used to be really, really good. Although they were like annoying to play against, I really like the idea of them. But now that the Perforator has like 3 different kinds of the Perforator, and what has a particle cannon on it, I'm a little like, this is stupid. You know? Am I ranting too much about this, or... Dude, subs are awesome, that's why I love them, but it's like no faction has torpedoes, because they all go with this meta principle of, they go with this like weird meta principle of like, oh, it has to have particles and lasers and shields and whatever. No one builds torpedoes because they're not like meta. And so none of the faction things have any torpedoes. I guess I'm just gonna rant about this until I stop streaming. But I'm upset because it's like the one thing that was really pulling this game together was like that unique style of gameplay where you switch from designer to campaign and back from designer to campaign, etc., and you just improve your units. When the campaign no longer becomes fun, it just becomes a designer game, and then everyone else besides those engineering, creative-y types that like to like build model ships and paint things, those are the only people that stay in the game. Everyone else kind of quits. Everyone leaves the community because there's no gameplay to it. No one wants to play this game with their friends because it's boring and hard to get into unless you really like your craft, building your craft. And what also comes with that is if you do like building your craft, it tends to be like you spend a lot of time into it, or you put a lot of time into it. You spend a lot of time perfecting what you do. I mean, I do that. Everyone does that. Everyone likes to perfect what they do, but the problem I see with this is it's like you put so much time in and you go play with someone else. You go, hey, let me show you my thing. Let me show you this thing, and it's not impressive to them. And so there's no satisfaction to be brought out of it from you, and there's no satisfaction brought out of it from the single player because it's not fun. You can't derive fun from something with a 200% fun. Like, my plane has 200% fun factor as something that has a base fun factor of 0. You know what I'm saying? Like, use my plane. It will boost your fun. And then it's like, yeah, but, you know, the game doesn't provide any fun to begin with, so what's the point? That's what I mean. It's like, for every faction, you had to, like, especially if you didn't know the faction, you had to, like, do a fight or two, kind of test the waters a bit, and then you had to be like, okay, they're using shields, right? So I need to use a lot of missiles and lasers, right? Oh, okay, they're using lasers. I need to use smoke and submarines. Oh, all right, they have a lot of aircraft? Okay, no more submarines. No more, they're going to kill all my submarines. Okay, they have a lot of aircraft. Okay, I need aircraft. Okay, what about space things? Oh, good. Oh, this faction has a lot of armor. I can't use my aircraft anymore because they're gonna shoot them all down. And I can't do it. You know, like that kind of like rock paper scissors effect you would get from fighting different factions. It's completely gone. Here, let me get the. Yeah, I have 3 different versions of this. I have the fighter, and then the fighter bomber, and then the naval attack plane. See, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, in this game, it's not fun anymore to do anything besides, like, oh, make vehicle, play with vehicle, you're done. That's all you're doing in this game. And so, I've gotten quite burnt out of this game, like, really hard. I can barely stand playing this game anymore. It's excruciating. None of my friends play this game anymore, especially. That's probably the most important bit, honestly, because if you don't have friends to play this game with, it's kind of like stupid. Instead of quantity like I was doing a few weeks ago, I'm focusing on quality only. I'm putting in just my jokes, trying to write in as best video as I can. I'm really trying to care for it as an art form because I've listened to a lot of comedians and lately. Odd enough, it's been the comedians I'm listening to. A lot of podcasts, and a lot of guys are saying like, oh, you know, it's the guys who really stick with it are the guys who really just, you know, you stick with it. You stick with your craft. You stick with your art. You hone it, and you never give up. You never stop with that like degree of design fidelity. You know, you keep pushing the quality. You keep pushing the greatest product you have. You never stop working as hard as possible. And so I kind of like stopped publishing just like videos like that. I put Spud and Buds on a hold, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna publish videos that I have a passion for, that I want to make, and I'm gonna get some things done that I want to get done. And part of that is I want to do these tutorials that I've been waiting on. I'm doing these video releases. I don't think there's a mantlet at all, but you can see that it's exploding the hell out of the deck. Please don't shoot me. No, it's fine, I'm armored. My plane is armored more than this ship is. Oh. 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 Oh.